Dear students, this is the second video on chapter 13, why to fall ill. In the first video, we already discussed what does health mean, what are disease, and what are the factors that are responsible for maintaining a good health, and what are the different classes of disease. Those we have already discussed in the first video. Now this is the continuation from the first video. As we've already discussed, that disease, they are caused by microorganisms. Most of the disease, they are caused by microorganisms. Now, those microorganisms, they are called infectious agents. This microorganism can be classified into various classes. So, organisms, microbes like viruses, bacteria, fungi, protozoans, worms, they are responsible for causing disease in our body. So disease, microbes like viruses, they cause various types of disease in our body, like say common cold, influenza, dengue fever, and then HIV/AIDS. All those are caused by virus. And then disease like typhoid, cholera, tuberculosis, and drugs, they are caused by bacteria. And then the fungal infection, many of the skin related infection disorder, they are due to fungal infection. And then disease like malaria, kala azar, Japanese encephalitis, all those are caused by protozoans. And then disease like intestinal infection, which leads to diarrhea, or elephantiasis, they are caused by worms inside our body. Now, why those classification of microbes is important? It is important because in order to know the types of treatment, what kind of treatment that we need to use in order to treat the particular disease. Because many of the microbes, microorganisms, they have similar biological pathways mechanisms. So if we know one of the mechanisms, then we can easily treat the other organisms. See, for example, antibiotics. Antibiotics, they work against bacteria. So this antibiotic, when they work against bacteria, how they work against bacteria is, bacteria, they form cell wall around their body. When they form cell wall, they becomes activate. After that only they can do their activity. But if the cell wall is break down, then the bacteria will become inactive. That is how this antibiotic, they inhibit the formation of cell wall around the bacteria. That is how antibiotic works. So if we know the class, the microbes, types of microbes, what kind of microbes that are responsible for causing the disease in our body, we can easily recognize what kind of treatment that we can use. Now, this disease, these microbes, how they spread in community, because many of the disease are infectious disease. So how they spread? This disease, they spread by various forms, by various factors. So when the disease or the microbes, they are spread through air. So the microbes which is present in the atmosphere causing the disease like common cold, pneumonia, tuberculosis, they are caused by the organisms which is spread through air, through water. The disease which is spread through water like cholera, diarrhea, typhoid, they are spread through water. And then through sexual contact like syphilis, HIV/AIDS, they are spread through by means of sexual contact. And another term is the vectors. What does vector mean? Vectors, they are a group of organisms. Vectors are a group of organisms, and these organisms, they act as an intermediate organisms. They are not the casual organisms, but they can spread, they can carry the microorganisms, which microbes which causes the disease from infected person to another healthy person. See, mosquito carry the protozoa which is responsible for causing the malaria. So if the mosquito bite an infected person and bite another healthy person, they carry the microbes and inject it to another healthy person. So mosquito is an example of vectors. So by means of vectors. Now how this disease after entering inside our body, how they attack our body or our organs. So it depends upon the point of entry. So at what point of our body the disease or the microbes enter our body. Suppose if the microbes enter our body through air via nose, then it will reach the lungs and the result will be in the form of breathlessness, coughing, pneumonia. Those are some of the results when the microbes enter our body through air. Or see, when the microbes enter our body through mouth, suppose in the form of drinking water, if the microbes gets mixed with the drinking water, or the food that we consume, if the microbes present in it improper cook, or say unwashed, improperly washed fruits and vegetables, it carries the microbes and enter inside our mouth through our body through mouth. So if the microbes remain in the cut, then it will lead to typhoid. Or if the microbes goes to the liver, then it will lead to the formation of jaundice in our body. Microbes can also enter our body through sexual contact. So through sexual contact disease like HIV, AIDS, they can enter our body through sexual contact, or say sharing of needles also lead to the spread of such disease. So those disease, in what kind of treatment that we need to give if a person is infected by a disease. It is important to know the classes of the microorganism which is responsible for causing the disease. So as I've already explained that how antibiotic works. Antibiotic like penicillin, they work against the bacteria by defending or inhibiting the formation of cell wall around the bacteria so that we can easily control them. But viruses, they are another group of organisms which is very much peculiar because viruses have very little biomechanical pathway of their own. So when viruses they enter inside another organism, they use the mechanism of the host cell and attack the host immune system. So it is very peculiar, it is very different, and it is very difficult to discover the antiviral medicine also. But nowadays, we have some antiviral drugs which can control the infirmity of the disease caused by the virus. So, in order to protect ourselves from such tedious disease, it is important to prevent ourselves before infection, which is known as the principle prevention is better than cure. Because if someone is infected by a disease, he or her may not be recovered from such disease even though it undergoes treatment or say. So when they are infected and not recovered, they will become a long life for lifetime. And then such individual or the person will become the source of spreading the disease. So it is very important to prevent ourselves before infecting by the disease. So how we protect ourselves from such tedious disease? We can prevent ourselves from those diseases by avoiding the contact with the infectious person, avoid overcrowding, regular washing of hands, cleanliness, proper physical exercise, maintaining nutritious food. Those are some of the precautions that we need to take in order to prevent ourselves from such tedious disease. An English scientist, Sir Edward Jenner, he discovered it the very first time about the vaccination. So the chicken pox, which was a severe disease in the last century, it kills thousands of millions of people because of this tedious disease. So in order to protect the population from such tedious disease, he take out the cowpox. Cowpox is a mild disease. He take out the microbes, the organisms from the cow and injected to another healthy person, so that that injected person will not suffer from the chickenpox again. So this vaccination is derived from such word. In Latin, vacca means cow. So the cowpox vaccination means the cowpox which is injected to another healthy person, so that his body immune system becomes active against that chickenpox. So nowadays we have various types of vaccines. Vaccines for measles and rubella, vaccines for BCG vaccines, polio vaccines, and even coronavirus vaccine, COVID-19 vaccines. We have different types of vaccines in order to protect ourselves. So when we get vaccinated, our immune system gets activated and they can easily fight against the disease when the disease enter inside our body. So that is all about this chapter.